Right here, we see several options. We have part, assembly, drawing. We're going to enter a part. Just let it load. We're just going to push that over so we have a full screen. All right, welcome to SolidWorks. First thing to kind of note about this program is talking about navigation. So we have several tabs here: features, sketch, markup, evaluate, dimensions, add-in, simulation, MDB, cam, TH, and analysis. We are going to enter the sketch format, and we are going to start sketching. So before we start actually pressing anything, take note of several different planes: front plane, top plane, and right plane. Additionally, down here we have units. You want to set your units to whatever metric you want to work in. So we're going to be working in inches, pounds, and seconds for these tutorials. All right, let's go ahead and click on the top plane and start sketch. We are going to do a very simple shape to start. So we're going to take just a rectangle, corner rectangle, and we are going to start it from the origin. The origin is right here. You should see this little orange dot pop up. We're going to click and drag it off. And now we have a square type shape. We are then going to smart dimension right here. And we are going to click an edge. Let's call it 1 inch. And click this edge, call it 1 inch. And now we have a square. Something to note right here is that the square is fully defined, indicated by this message right here. If it was not fully defined, let's get rid of a dimension, it would say underdefined. That means that there is a dimension that is arbitrary and ambiguous to the program. So we need to make sure every dimension is defined, or else we're going to receive errors later in working with it. All right, now we see that we've drawn a sketch. We see a new labels popped up here. We're going to call this sketch, how do you name it? Just click it. And we are going to call this square sketch. It's very important to label all of your sketches. That way someone else that comes in to look at what you've created knows exactly what has been done. All right, let's go ahead and make it three-dimensional. So now we're going to leave the sketch plane and go into features right here. The most commonly used feature is extrude bow space. So we're going to click it. And then in this format, we can either drag this arrow up or down. But we are going to set the dimension for it right here. So we're going to set this to be 1 inch. And now we see it is fully kind of created. So then we can either hit this check mark or press enter on our keyboard. We're just going to hit this check mark. And now we see that we have a box, a square box. And now you guys might be wondering, how am I kind of controlling this? How am I navigating? Well, on your mouse, if you press and hold the middle button, it allows you to rotate. Additionally, if you press and hold the right button, it allows you to snap to different views. If you zoom the middle button, it lets you zoom in or out. Additionally, if you press spacebar, this allows you to rotate and look at it from specific points of view. But we are just going to look at it flat, just like this. So here we have our box. We are going to do a little bit more with the box. We are going to edit it. So let's go into our sketch and let's just draw another rectangle on this plane. So we are going to do a center line from this corner to this corner. And now these center lines are indicative of providing reference geometry. So we are going to just reference the whole axis down. Then once we've kind of drawn out the cross section, we're going to hit escape, and that'll allow us to leave. Now in our rectangle box here, there are different types that we can draw. We're going to go to center rectangle, and we are going to go to the center of our drawn shape. And let's just extend this out to be roughly that size, but we're going to smart dimension it, so it doesn't really matter what you draw it out to be to start. We're going to set this dimension to be 0.4 inches, and then as we see, this only needs one set dimension, because if you are drawing something from the center, it will automatically snap and have all sides be equal. As you can see, this already has a built-in reference called equal length. So when this line is set, if these two sides are equal, then this has to be the identical length. Now what we are going to do with this is go back into features, do extruded cut, and we are going to go ahead and cut all the way through our geometry. So we know that this is 1 inch long. If we only wanted it to go halfway, we would hit 0.5, and now we see the outline is only going halfway. So if we were to take a look at that, then we can see it's about halfway cut through. To edit the feature, you right-click the name, go into Edit Feature, and then we are going to cut it all the way through, so 1 inch. Now we have a through hole through our rectangular shape. remembering what I said before, we are going to name everything that we've labeled here. So we'll call this point square sketch, and then we can hit edit sketch, exit sketch, and then for our both extrude, we are going to name this, just call it big cube, and for this we're going to call it square cut. That way everything is clear, and so if we wanted to access the sketch for the big cube, we know that this is exactly what it is. So then here we can go to edit feature if we would like, and then in this area we can extend the length of it. So if we wanted it to be maybe 1.5 inches, then we can then click it, and now we see that our square cut, because it only goes 1 inch through, it will not go through the other 0.5. But let's go ahead and bring this back to just 1 inch in length. Right, we have our cube. What is next? Now we are going to draw just a few different shapes so that you guys know how to fully define everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, just on this side of the cube, the right side, we're going to just right click it and hit edit sketch. Never mind. Let's go into here, and then we're going to click on this plane. Now we see, kind of in reference to where we are now drawing on this side of the cube. So let's do a little bit more of a complicated shape. So again, we're going to start by drawing some reference geometry lines just so we know exactly where we are on the shape. I'm going to go down to the corner and then all the way across. And let's do a polygon. Let's do 6-sided inscribed. And so let's start it from the center here, and we're going to draw it just like this. Now, when defining a polygon, a 6-sided polygon, we see it's currently underdefined. There are a few things we need to do. First thing, we are going to click on this top line. See how it's highlighted in light blue? We're going to make it horizontal. Now what this does is it aligns it to be horizontal with the plane. The plane is drawn, let's see if I can navigate it right, like this. So if it is horizontal, this is kind of up and down relations. If we were to set it to be vertical, let's go ahead and do that. Let's delete this relation and let's set it to be vertical. Now we see it rotates the opposite way. So depending on which orientation we want, we can have it be vertical or non-vertical. Right, still in the sketch. Now we can set the length of the inner circle. So let's set it to be, let's see here. Oh, right here we already have a dimension drawn, which is 0.24. So we are going to delete this one. Not sure how that was drawn there. Maybe I can rewatch this and figure it out. But we are going to go off of the central circle, and we are going to set the diameter of it to be 0.4, so it is kind of in reference to this shape. So now what we're going to do is a quick extrude cut. So we're going to extrude cut it, and we see that it automatically wants to carry through the shape. We are going to go to 1 inch so that it goes all the way through the shape, and now we are going to cut it. So now what we see here is we have a square cut through this way, and then we have a hexagonal cut through this way. We do have one more side that we can edit, that we can mess around with. So let's go ahead and draw another shape here. Let's do a circle. So let's go ahead and hit center line, and then we're going to click on this side so that it opens this plane. I'm going to draw a quick reference geometry using the center lines. And so any lines that are drawn using dotted lines like this is called construction geometry. And so construction geometry is not actually looked at by SolidWorks when creating things. It is simply used for our own purpose of figuring out where the center of something is. And so we see the center of it right here. So let's go ahead and click on circle. And so in circle, there are two different ways to draw it, circle and perimeter circle. Let's just stick with normal circle. Let's go to the center of the shape, and let's just draw it out like so. Okay, now smart dimension it, and we want the diameter to be 0.4 inches. Now we have a circle shape, and we are going to extrude cut it all the way through, just like that. All right, and now we have our cube. So we have a rectangle cut through this side, a hexagon cut through this side, and a circle cut through this side. If we wanted to take a look at how it is internally, we can change our view of it to be, I forget what this is called. wireframe or hidden lines visible, or purely transparent. A few different settings to view it in. Let's go ahead and save this. And so as an exercise, you guys can go ahead and name the sketch 2, sketch 4, cut extrude 2, cut extrude 3. Be creative with it. See what you can come up with. We are going to save this to a new folder. We'll call this BME101. We will call this a circle, square, hexagon, cube. There we go. Now if we exit out, then we would be able to go to our desktop, BME101 SolidWorks, and we have our circle, square, hexagon, cube. What we are going to do, though, is create an additional part. As you see, we can open a recent document. We are going to create a new part. Right, and let's go to the top plane, sketch, and we are going to create a center rectangle, just like so. Smart dimension. I'm going to call this 0.4. Call this side 0.4. Okay, and now let's go ahead and extrude it to be 1 inch large. Now we have a rectangular cube form. Let's go ahead and save this in the same place. And now what we're going to do is go to File, Make Assembly from Part. And we are going to open our rectangular cube. Alright, let's go to Assembly, Insert Components, Browse, and we're going to click on both of our shapes that we drew in. So we have this one, and then we have this one. So in an assembly, this is where you can combine parts to see how they would work or fit together. Now we know that the side lengths of this cube section is 0.4, and we just drew this cube to be 0.4 as well. So what we are going to do is we can see if we wanted to create maybe a puzzle toy, how this would fit into the cube. And so we can manually align it, kind of best to our ability, but there are features within the assembly is called mates. And so with a mate, what we are going to do is, go ahead and delete that. We are going to mate this face, the flat one, with this side here. And this is going to be a coincident mate. It's like this. And so if we create it, now we see we can move a rectangle around, but it stays attached to that face. Now what we can do as well is another mate of this side to this side. And we see how it auto kind of snaps in. Now it is only able to be moved in one linear direction. Doing the same thing, we'll do this side, the flat side to this side. And now we see our square piece is perfectly flush in the cube shape. And if we attempted to move it, let's go ahead and, so the first shape you input in an assembly becomes fixed in place. So let's go and right click on the big cube and hit this button right here called float. That allows us to move it around. So if we were to move it around, now we see that the rectangle piece is locked in place. Now let's say we wanted to change the mate so that it can move forwards and backwards. We can see how the mates are connected by hovering over it. For example, this mate holds it against that side, this mate holds it against that side, this mate, coincident number 1, holds it against this side flush. So if we delete this mate, then that allows us to pull and push our cube piece through the shape, just like so. And so it is restricted to one linear range of motion. If you want a little exercise for yourself, feel free to create the other two shapes. We have the cylindrical prism as well as the hexagonal prism. Go ahead and try to create these shapes on your own and see if you can make them fit inside of their respective slots in this cube shape. All right, let's go ahead and assembly with this and go back into SolidWorks, where we are going to then do the last thing of the video, that's making a keychain that you guys could theoretically 3D print. Alright, so we're going to open a new part. And I'm going to go through this pretty quick, just as a little example of how this can be done. Let's start off with working on the top plane. Let's create a corner rectangle, just like this. And so we want our keychain to be, let's say, 3 inches by 1.5 inches. Alright, now let's add some depth to it. Let's raise it up by 0.15 inches, just like that. And now in SolidWorks, there is a text kind of function here. And so if we click on this face, we can create text. So if I were to type out Paul, we can see the text pop up just like this, and we can rearrange it just by clicking. We can also change the font size of it by unclicking Use Document Font, and then we can go into the font, and we are going to make it by points. Let's make it 72-point font. So we're just going to click until we get it kind of arranged, just like that. All right, let's see if we can get it maybe a little bit more centered. Cool. We are now going to go to our features and do extrude bow space on the name tag, just like this. So we see all of the letters being able to be popped out. Let's go ahead and extrude them by just 0.1 inch. And now we have our name tags, our name extruded on this shape. Now, in order for it to be a keychain, it needs some sort of ring holder, right? So let's go ahead and inside of here, let's insert a circle. We can do it on this plane. Let's do it just from this corner. Let's go not that far. Let's call it 0.4 inches. And then let's insert an additional circle. And so this is an alternative method to how to make a extruded cut. So instead of drawing out the shape first, we can simply extrude everything but the shape. So let's go ahead and extrude this down so it aligns with the back plate, just like that. And now we have a name with a keychain collar. Yeah, maybe we should even make the keychain collar quite thin. So if we wanted to make maybe one section of it super thin so that it holds on, we can go into like just do a corner rectangle. No, let's go into our extrude cut, and let's reduce the size of this by let's do maybe 0.05 inches, just like that. And now we have a keychain. I'm not sure actually what the ring size should be for a keychain. Let's delete this. We can do something a little bit classier. Let's do maybe starting on the back side. So just frame of reference where we are. Let's do a similar kind of design here. Or even better yet, we can now hover over and find this midpoint on this line, and let's go ahead and extend it out so that I think this should be 0.75, just like that. And now we are going to do a similar geometry to what we just did and go out to about, I don't know, 65. And now let's do extrude bow space. And so we are going to extrude it again upwards, and let's go just about half of the length. So if we're doing exactly half, that'll be 0.75 up. And now we have a keychain ring on our name tag. Feel free to get kind of creative with it if you wanted to add in shapes or draw something with lines. Like, what can we do really quick? So a mistake that we made actually is that this is underdefined. Let's go ahead and make sure that we set a reference point to just make sure that our sides are fully defined like this. And now we see that the whole shape is fully defined. I can exit sketch. And so nothing changed, but now SolidWorks just knows how it all fits together. We can do something a little bit messy here, and so this is going to be underdefined, but that is a-okay. So we're going to take our line shape here, and let's draw a little circle, and then let's do maybe a line right here, maybe a line right here. So it's going to want to snap to different locations. Let's draw it up from instead. Okay, that'll be our neck, and then let's do like an arm out this way, and then just go a little wider for a body. Like that. Let's pretend that this looks like a person. Let's do some legs. Just like this. And now, as we see, our shapes here are not fully defined. We are going to have to do something a little. Just extrude those space, and we're going to click this, we're going to click this, this, and this. And now we are going to go ahead and extrude it, just like that. Now we have our name as well as a little stick figure guy sticking out of our keychain. Feel free to customize it however you'd like. You can get really creative with this. This was done pretty quick and pretty sloppily. I have no artistic ability, but you know. Alright, that kind of concludes this video lecture. If you guys have any questions, please send me or Professor an email. Our email will be linked, and yeah, hope you guys come up with some cool keychain designs. Alright. Yes.